Okay guys, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. Yeah, I'm on holiday today. I was on holiday today, yesterday and Wednesday. Finished up my old job on Tuesday and I start my new job on Monday. So yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, anyway, I hope you're all good. Weather-wise, it's been. By the way, I'll apologise now. They're in the process of knocking down houses outside my house, and I think they're putting in drainage. So from about 7 o'clock in the morning, all you can hear is the bloody JCBs and God knows what digging big holes. Absolutely no regard for me trying to get a long lie. But yeah, weather-wise this week it's been really nice. It's been cold but super sunny, and yeah, it's great. I mean, I really love this time of year. Thing is, you can get out, you can do stuff. The fact that it's daylight up until about, I mean, I don't know what, it's getting dark about 8 o'clock at night. There's just so much more you can do. Whereas in the kind of, during the winter, it's dark from 4 o'clock. You leave to go to work in the dark, you come home in the dark, and it's just shite. It's cold, it's wet, it's horrible. So I really enjoy this time of year. So once I finish this waffle, I'm actually planning to head out, go out on the bike for a wee bit. My running is still kind of non-existent. And I'm sorry for kind of going on about it, because this is meant to be video game related, but I do tend to kind of just talk about anything. As you probably know, I used to do a lot of running. I mean, I would do 40-50 miles a week. I've done some really long races, the longest one being the West Highland Way, 96 miles. So I was running constantly for 10 years. But in the last couple of years, I don't know what's happened. Well, I do know it's a kind of two-part problem. The guy that I used to run with all the time, he's gone and got a girlfriend, and she's moved in with him, and I just don't see him anymore. And I know people change. I know our life, things change all the time. There's nothing permanent in our life, and yeah, you've just got to kind of embrace the change and accept it. But I've found it really difficult because this guy, I was running with him 4 or 5 times a week. On a Sunday, we would go out for 5 hours and run. And when you spend so much time together with somebody, to suddenly go from that to nothing, I've just found it difficult, because running it's a difficult sport. It's it's one of these sports where you've just got to get out and do it, get your training shoes on, get out and run, and you will be blowing out your arse for the first couple of months when you run. And what makes it easier is if you've got somebody to run with, because running with somebody, you can be talking, you can be having a bit of a laugh, and you don't really think about it. The problem with running on your own, all you're doing is you're thinking about how far you've got to go. And unless you get to a certain level when running sort of becomes easier, when you're first starting off, it is difficult. You're blowing out your backside, you're thinking, I've still got another 4 miles to go. So that's kind of losing my mate has been a big thing. And the other thing is, I really don't know what's happened, but over the last probably 3 years, I can go out and run and I'll be fine. And then the next day I can go out and run and I will have to stop after 5 minutes because my stomach just gets absolutely bloated now. I do think it's diet related. I've not changed what I've eaten really over the last 10 years. I still eat the same stuff, but I do think that probably, I'm a massive fan of bread, and I do think that probably bread's not helping my diet. It's probably not helping things at all. I mean, as I mentioned about your life changing, the older you get, your body changes, and it does. There's no two ways about it. Just because you could do something 2 years ago doesn't necessarily mean you can do it now. And I think, excuse me, I've got hiccups now. I think that's one of my problems. I think my body has changed, and I really need to. If I want to get back to running, I think I would really need to try and change my diet, cut out bread, cut out rolls, pasta. You know, it's basically heavy carbs, potatoes. Thing is, I love all these things. And I've kind of got to the stage where I'm thinking, do I give up what I love food wise to try and get back to running again, or do I realise, right, you know what, you've achieved a lot, and I have achieved a lot. I'm stupidly proud of what I've managed to do in running wise. I've managed to do, I mean, I've got 3 West Highland Way race goblets. I've done countless other ultras, so I have achieved a lot. So I'm kind of at that point in my life now where I'm thinking, do I give it one more go, and if it's still not working, if it's still not happening, do I just decide, you know what, bollocks, let's do something else. I mean, I've got 2 really good bikes. As I mentioned, I'm going to go out on the bike in a wee while. I've rejoined the gym. The gym opens at the end of April. So yeah, I'm kind of at that point. You know, I think I need to sort of stop beating myself up all the time. Thing is, when you've been good at something, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys can relate to that, when you've been good at something, and then you're trying to do it again, and you're nowhere near as good as you were. It's a frustrating thing, because you just think, why am I like this? But I think you've just got to accept that your body changes, things change. So yeah. Anyway, enough about my running bollocks. Video games. Yeah, I did get. Yeah, have I done a video of it? I think I have actually. I showed you my latest arcade cabinet that I got about 2 months ago, and yeah, it came with a Double Dragon board. I was only basically getting that, you know, for a loan off, and I've not really been playing it at all because I'm not a fan of Double Dragon. But last week, my mate Ian, he came along and he fitted, what's it called? It's called a RPiCade. It's basically, it allows you to connect a Raspberry Pi to a JAMA board, and then you can basically play, you know, you can play all these images that you can download on the Raspberry Pi. So Ian, he was here, I can't remember what day it was last week he came in, and he had to do a bit of wiring. He had to wire up, it was at buttons 4, 5 and 6, because apparently JAMA boards generally only support 3 buttons, and he had to, what's it called, a kick harness. Basically, I don't know why it was called that. The reason being is it enables the kick buttons in Street Fighter, so that's why it's called a kick harness. So he managed to kind of get it wired up, and it's running really well. But there was one thing that he wasn't able to do, and that was the credit button. He couldn't get the credit button working, so he came out last night. He's now rewired the credit button to the little button. Basically, if you put a 10 pence in and it gives you a credit, he's wired this extra button to that, so it's now working perfect. Now, what he said to me was, why don't you, because you've got 3 arcade cabinets, why don't you make this one vertical? So I was like, oh, I don't know, because the thing is, if you've got a screen and it's horizontal, then it means you can play stuff like Robotron, Rolling Thunder, any of these games, any of these kind of horizontal games, you can play them full screen. And you can also play, if you're playing a vertical game, then it's not bad, it's a decent enough size. But what I said to him, I says, look, go and flip the screen round. So you basically undo 2 bolts and you pull it out and you basically just flip it around. So we did that, and wow, it is awesome. See, getting to play like games, vertical shooters, 1942, Commando, any of these games, Galaxian, Space Invaders, Juno First, any of these vertical shooters, playing it with the screen rotated vertically is the dog's bollocks. It really is. The only problem is when you try and play a horizontal game, the screen has got these massive big borders at the top and bottom, so that's not really ideal. But the thing is, I've got another 2 cabinets. I've got my big cabinet on the right hand side, which is horizontal. So that means I can play all my Rolling Thunder on that. And then I've got my small bar top, which I can use for, I've got the trackball, I've got the twin sticks. So for Robotron, I can use that because my big Defender cabinet only has one joystick, which means, I can't play like something like Rolling Thunder on it. No, sorry, something like Robotron. But I have got my bar top, which I can use. So, yeah, I've kind of got the best of both three worlds, actually. I can play, I said, I've got my twin stick for horizontal games. I've got my Defender cabinet I can use for horizontal games that require one joystick. And I've got this this other cabinet playing vertical games. So it's really nice. So, yeah, I was playing 1942 earlier. I got about 200,000 on it. So, yeah, all good. All good. So that's kind of been that. I've not been doing a great deal. I have been, by the way. Hopefully you'll have noticed. I have been putting out a few non-live videos because I was getting to the point where I realised that I was putting out too many live videos. Now some people do enjoy live videos more than the other ones, but I miss making videos. I miss making videos where I've got to try and be creative and coming up with other ideas. So that's why I've tried to kind of get back to putting out videos again. I have managed to put out a couple this week, and I've also done a couple as well, which I will put out kind of later on in the week. I'm just going to crack on with questions. I mean, it's not going to be a long video at all because there's really not many questions. Didn't see any from down the rabbit hole, which is not like Kev. So anyway, let's see. Dale Boy, hope your last 2 days at work went well and good luck next week. Thank you very much, Dale. Question: when did you last read instructions for a retro game? Being a long time ago, I'll let you think. Yeah, now I do get a fair bit of criticism when I'm playing games because I basically don't know what I'm doing. I don't read the instructions, and like I said, I do get a fair bit of flack for that. But as I've always maintained, I never review games. I just load up a game and try and play it. But over the last couple of weeks, I've realised, I was playing a game, I can't remember what it was it Cybernoid 2, I think it was, and people were saying you need to press spacebar, you need to pick different weapons, and I suppose it's a bit stupid to play a game and not actually know what the controls are because you're going to struggle. If you're missing specific keys you need to press, then you're not going to get the best out of the game. So what I've started doing when I've been doing my 8-bit face-off kerfuffles, I've been looking at the instructions, and I might start looking at instructions a bit more because you're going to know what you need to do, and at the end of the day, it's not fun playing a game when you can't get past a certain bit, and it's probably down to the reason you're not picking a certain weapon, you're not getting the best from the game. So I am going to start reading instructions where possible. When I'm doing the live streams, I do obviously try and get through loads and loads of games. I don't know whether I'll do that or not, but I have started to read instructions. But anyway, Dale, when did I last read the instructions for a retro game? Actually, yesterday it was. I was putting together a video, and I wanted to see. I was basically comparing two versions on two different machines, and I did read the instructions. But as regards instructions on a game that I bought, I don't know, years ago, absolutely years ago. I've not bought. The last time I bought a Commodore Amiga game would be 1994. It'd probably be, I don't know what it would have been, Sensible Soccer, something like that. I don't know, but it's been a long time. But like I said, I did read instructions, a PDF version of the instructions yesterday. So anyway, thank you, Dale. Sterner stuff saying here, believe it or not, I actually did meet Sir Edmund Hillary. Yeah, I was talking, one of the guys asked me about somebody I would love to meet, from a sporting background, and I said Sir Edmund Hillary, somebody who conquested Everest. I've got this real fixation about Everest. I was watching a programme a couple of nights ago, and it was all about the Sherpas. Now, the Sherpas are people who live in Tibet. Most of them live, they live near to Everest. And for whatever reason, these people have got this phenomenal ability to walk at great altitude, and they're phenomenally strong. And there's all these companies now that you can pay them money and they'll take you up Everest. Obviously, you've still got to physically walk. But apparently it costs like $100,000. It's a lot of money. But the thing is, these Sherpas are getting a tiny, tiny little bit of the money. They're getting very, very little. And these are the guys that are doing all the work. They're the ones that are going and carrying all the equipment to the base camp. And they're getting very little for it. They're putting their lives at risk. I mean, even though I don't know how many people have climbed Everest, it must run into the hundreds. It's still a very, very dangerous thing to do. Would I ever do it? Hell no. It's not something I would ever do. Even if somebody was going to pay me, I wouldn't ever want to do it. It's just too dangerous. But these Sherpas, they're carrying all this equipment. They're taking all the risks, and they're getting a tiny bit of money. And I think they're now wanting more sort of credit for what they do, and I think they're wanting better paid. And personally, I think they're absolutely right for doing that. But it's actually quite sad, because I was watching this video, and there was photographs of this massive queue of people. Imagining queuing for McDonald's, except you're queuing to go up Everest. It's become so popular that you're now having to wait your turn to get to the summit. And the thing is, it's like when you get a big crowd of people, regardless of whether it's going up Everest or whether it's going to a beach or going to a park, there's all this rubbish getting left, and that is really sad for something that is iconic as Everest. It's a beautiful thing. It's Mother Nature at her very best, and seeing all the rubbish that's getting left, including dead bodies. I mean, I know there were apparently about 200 dead bodies on the mountain, and it's just because it's become too popular. And I think that these Sherpas are absolutely entitled to more credit. They should be getting more money. Should we maybe just stop going up Everest? Possibly, because it's an absolute wonder of the world. And it's like all these things. It's like even parts of Scotland. It's just you're getting inundated with bus people, tourists and buses, and it's like the pyramids as well. They've just turned into this real commercial thing, and it's really, really sad. But anyway, back to what Sterner's saying. He did meet Sir Edmund Hillary. He visited my class in New Delhi when I was in 5th grade. I can confidently say he's been a hero of mine ever since. Before that day, I'm embarrassed to admit I didn't know who he was. What a humble, gentle, amicable and fantastic man. He did not talk about his merits and accomplishments. Instead, he asked me and all the other kids in class what our hopes and dreams were. True heroes don't brag. What a lovely story, Sterner, and that just made me, be a hero of him all the more. Amazing person. Highlander saying here, I always turn the music off. It's one of the first things I do when I play a new game. Yeah, I was going on about music in games. Now, some games you do have to have music, of course you do. But arcade games, unless it's Rolling Thunder, turn the music off. I always do it. I want to hear the sound effects, and obviously you do exactly the same thing. Colin Jones, good you don't follow tradition for food. Traditions are just doing what dead people tell you anyway. You're absolutely right, that's true, that's what a tradition is. Somebody dead telling you what you need to do. The VIC-20 is indeed the same machine as the C64 with a different skin. It was released as a special anniversary edition if memory serves. Yeah, why would... As much as I love old systems, I wouldn't lash out and get a VIC-20 one, not when it's exactly the same as the C64. I'll just stick with the C64 and play it in VIC-20 mode. For the next waffle and back on our hobby, what is your least favourite video game genre? back in the day on the old systems, it would be adventure games. Never had any interest in adventures at all. I would probably say more kind of modern games. What is my least favourite genre? I'm not a fan of like Call of Duty games. Probably my least favourite genre would have to be... It would have to be games where you've got to craft stuff. I've mentioned this before. I can't be arsed with games where you've got to find raw materials and build weapons and all that bollocks. I understand why people do enjoy it. And that's why stuff like, is it No Man's Sky, I've got simply no interest in playing them. I think for me, I'm getting older, I've got less time to play games. I don't want to waste time, having to save up and gather things and all that. And then, I don't mind collecting stuff, I don't mind earning, weapons or whatever. But once I've got a weapon, I want to stick with that weapon. I can't be arsed when a weapon runs out. And that's why games like, was it the new Zelda game on the Switch, you can craft all these weapons, but then you lose them and then you've got to rebuild them again. I don't know. I think I'm just getting too long in the tooth for stuff like that. I want to be able to earn a weapon and then just play it and not lose it. What was the question again? I can't remember what the question was. What is your least favourite video game genre? Still adventure games, yeah, games like that where you've got to craft weapons. Modern football games, modern sports games. I've got no interest in basketball games. I've absolutely got no interest in things like, the latest FIFA. God no, they just, not interested. In fact, I think it's pretty much any modern game. I don't know. I've always thought that I will never lose interest in video games, but I think I am. I really have. I think I've got to admit to myself and accept that I have lost interest in video games. Do I really want to go and buy modern games? Do I want a PlayStation 5? No, I don't. There's nothing there. I was watching my mate Ian, Bangkok Ian. He's got a PlayStation 5 and he was putting out some videos of some of the more modern games, and he loves his modern games and there's nothing wrong with them. But watching videos like that, it's just made me realise how I have lost interest in modern games. I would probably say the last couple of generations I've got no interest in. I have got a PlayStation 4. I can count in one hand the number of games that I've played in it. But no, I think I'm just getting too old for modern games. Don't know. God, I'm turning into a right grouchy old gamer. Anyway. Sir Lancelot. But what about SID music, which will largely help those games? Monty on the Run, Crazy Comments. Yeah, you know what, Adam? You're right. I was going on about music. There are certain games, if they've got stonking soundtracks, I think I was going on about Commando on the C64. You take away the music on Commando and it becomes a very, very mediocre game. Monty on the Run, slightly less so. Monty on the Run is actually a fun game, but these games are absolutely they're made with the music. Monty on the Run is my favourite C64 soundtrack. It's just an awesome, it's like the Bohemian Rhapsody of SID music. Crazy Comments again. Yeah, I think on the 8-bit machines, if the music is done properly, it's good. But yeah, a lot of arcade games, I would much rather play with sound effects. Saniki Moonjewel, quite frightening. I find your driving a bit dangerous and quite scary. The amount of time your attention is on other things in the road. Please take care, more care when driving, and don't drive when tired. We don't want to lose you. You know what's really annoying about that? I actually commented, I did a big reply to that on my phone, and for some reason it's disappeared. Don't know what happened. Yeah, last week I recorded, I was driving and I did my waffle. Now I know how that seems, and yeah, it's not clever. It's not clever to read stuff when you're driving. I am actually, despite that, I'm actually a very, very careful driver. I never use my phone unless it's on hands-free. I don't read text messages. I've got friends who They'll be looking at a text, they'll be replying to a text and they're driving. I don't do that at all. So generally I am very, very clever, very, very careful. But last week, what I did was I printed out all the questions, and I printed out an A4 paper, and I made the font really, really big, so I didn't have to kind of stare at it. But I understand how that came across. When I was driving and reading it, I did wait until there was no traffic about, and I also waited until I was on the motorway. Now that's still not if the police saw me, they would have pulled me over and done me for reckless driving. But yeah, it maybe wasn't quite as dangerous as it came across. But yeah, I won't do that again. Trust me, I promise. Holly, what's she saying? I do think you need to correct that. Yeah, somebody asked me about Buckfast, and I seem to think it was made by monks from Scotland. I think you need to correct that. It's brewed by monks at Buckfast Abbey down here in Devon, and for some reason it's tickled the Scots' jaded taste buds. Stealing our Devon Thunder, you'll be putting the jam on before the cream next. However, wait a minute, there's a few comments here, hang on. Holly's saying here, oops, now I stand corrected. And ZX News saying, but you are correct, Buckfast is from Devon. It is distributed by a company called J. Chandler & Co. I do not think the monks make it, but it may receive a cut. Alright, okay. And Alan, GTB Films, Holly's already said what I was going to say. But the reason Buckfast is the preferred tipple of Glasgow Jakies and Ned's, it's caffeinated and 15% ABV. Is that ABV? Is that the volume of alcohol? This means that the wee Jakies continue to drink it long after the point they would normally have fallen asleep. It's a gateway drink to the more sophisticated vodka and Red Bull, but no fiddly mixing required and readily available for underage sale in dodgy Glasgow corner shops. And the last question, Milfy Swinbuckle, hello again, Main Meister. 2 questions this time for the Friday Waffle. Firstly, you have stated that before that VR is not a fad. I too agree with this and believe we are just touching on the stuff to come that VR will provide. However, my first question is, were there any fads that drew you in when they were hot, only later down the line to realise there was no little substance to them and you'd wasted good money, hard-earned money? Has there been any fads that drew me in? I don't think so, Milfy. I mean, the 3D TV was a fad. They brought out all these 3D TVs and you have to wear these glasses. Now you can't buy them. I wonder why that is. I mean, companies, they bought into the whole 3D movies and then just over a period of time they stopped making them. But this is the thing, I've always said that I've seen a lot of films in the cinema in 3D, but I couldn't actually tell you what they were. I remember was it Avatar? That was 3D. That was quite. I mean, it's not a great film. Ironically, it's one of my girlfriend's favourite films. But anyway, I remember seeing that in 3D. But any film that I have seen in 3D, I can't remember seeing it in 3D. Because I find that after a certain amount of time, your brain switches off and you don't actually see it in 3D. So yeah, it's a kind of bizarre one. Don't know why. Do they still make films in 3D? I don't know. That's an interesting thing. Thing is, obviously with lockdown, there's not been that many films have come out this year because obviously the whole social distancing thing. But are they still making films in 3D? But no, I totally agree with you, Milfy. I don't think VR is a fad. 3D obviously is a fad, but I don't think you can compare watching a 3D film with VR, because it depends what type of VR it is. Something like the 3DS, I mean, I think they've stopped making the 3DS. Have they? I think they have. It's not 3-dimensional. You're kind of looking into the screen, whereas VR, you're in the game. You can turn round, you can look behind you, whatever. So you can't really compare 3D with VR. 3D, yeah, I do think it's a bit of a fad. I think possibly if we get to a point where you can go to the cinema and you can turn around and look behind you, then that would be awesome. Can you imagine, I don't know, watching an alien film where you're actually looking behind you? That would be pretty good. But yeah, the 3D where you're just looking in front of you, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I think that is a gimmick because, like I said, after a certain length of time, I just simply kind of forget that I've watched it in 3D, and it just becomes. It's like when I watch a lot of films on a phone, and when I think back to a film that I watched, could I remember? Did I watch it in the cinema? Did I watch it on my 52-inch TV, or did I watch it on a 5-inch screen? I can't remember because your brain kind of switches off. But no, VR, is it a fad? I know a lot of people think it is, and I think that's the people that have never actually really tried it. You know, once you've tried VR, I think you'll find. I personally think it's an awesome thing. Saying that, I've not used it for a while, but I will need to get back into it again. But no, I don't think there's any fads that I really got. I mean, I've got my Virtual Boy, but I mean, I bought that long after it was already. I mean, the Virtual Boy died a death because of apparently you get headaches playing it. But no, I bought that, fairly recently, so that doesn't really count. But I can't think of anything that I've bought and I'll go, oh, that's a fad. I've bought lots of things that I stopped using after a short period of time. I mean, I've got my drone. I spent quite a bit of money getting a drone a couple of years ago. Is that a fad? Possibly. The problem with drones is you've got to get a license to fly the thing now. I don't think it's a lot of money, but you can only fly it in certain areas. All the places you would love to fly it, like over people's houses, that would be brilliant. You can't do that. You've got to basically fly it away from anything interesting. So, if you get like an abandoned castle, you're not allowed to fly it over these things. So yeah, possibly the drone that I've got, I do love it, but have I used it recently? No. Possibly that was a fad. I don't know, but yeah, I can't think of any kind of gaming thing that's been a fad for me. Because like I said, yeah, I don't use the VR very often, but it's still a great thing. Secondly, if you had to challenge the likes of Charlie Farr or Sick Boy, now if you don't know who these guys are, these are two of my mates who are absolutely gaming ninjas. They can just, any game you play, they can win credit. Arcade games are amazing gamers. If you had to challenge the likes of these guys to an arcade game to the death, which arcade game would you pick? Would you survive, or would you be simply fucked like the rest of us mere mortals? I can quite simply say there is no game that I could compete with these guys at. I think possibly the only game I would be able to give Charlie Farr a run for his money, no pun intended, and it would possibly be track and field. Now, I'm not very good at track and field arcade game using buttons. I've not got, my mate John Studley, he's got this awesome way of doing the buttons. I can't do that. I can hold my own at track and field. I can get around all the events maybe twice possibly. If there are arcade track and fields that use joystick, I don't think they're very common. If I'm playing with a joystick, then I'm not bad. I'm not bad at all. I think that's about the only game that I could possibly give Charlie Farr and Sick Boy a run for their money. But I do know that Sick Boy is better than me at track and field, absolutely. But I think that's kind of the only game I could possibly hold my own. Berserk, I can get about 20,000. Charlie Farr can get, I think, 80, 90, 1,000, possibly even over 100,000. So he's going to kick my arse at that. The answer is no. These guys are gaming ninjas. Even games like FIFA, I know Sick Boy. He can just play all these games to this ridiculous high degree. So nah, I don't think I could. There might be one or two events that I could give them a run for the money, but nah, it's a big fat zero, unfortunately. But anyway, listen, guys. I know it's a shorter than usual waffle. Please give me questions. There weren't many that this week at all. If you want the Friday Waffle to continue, you need to give me stuff to talk about. Because, like I said, I will get to a point, if the questions dry up, then I will probably knock it in the head for a bit. Because it's difficult. I've been doing the Friday Waffles since 2014, so what's that? 7 years, that's a long time. Please get your questions in. If you want the waffle to continue, get your questions in. End off. Anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to get going. I'm going to get out my bike. It's still a nice day. I'll be back on Sunday, usual 6 o'clock until 8. I've not thought about what I'm going to do. I will need to give that a wee think, and I'll put it up on Discord and on Facebook. So anyway, guys, until next time, as always, thank you very much for watching.